Games, Brains and Headbang live here. Yes, we're back again with another top list. This time we're looking at EPs. We've done the albums. Go check out that very long video. Enjoy all the glory we have to talk there as we now focus on the smaller releases, the EPs, not singles, not albums, 3 or 4 tracks, and an EP. And here we're covering 20, top 20, 20 from me, 20 from Brendan. And I will get us started then with my number 20. And it is Twisted by the band SAR. The Manchester, UK, already kicking it off with the English mob, as it were. Alternative metal, groove, and bit of combination of both. It's headbanging shit. It's a short EP. I think it's 4 tracks long. Released like very early on at the 29th of February. So kind of, again, forgotten about at the latter end of the year. When you go back to it, you're just kind of reminded of, oh, yeah, you know what? I can bang my head to this. That's cool. Yeah.
Yep. And then to go straight away against the grain from what you said of being not singles. My first EP was released as an EP, but it's really only about one song. And that is Napalm Death's Logic Ravaged by Brute Force, which came out back in February 7th. So a long, long time ago.
Yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah, I think I had a cover on the EP as well, but I guess one track. it's a single, isn't it?
Pushing it, yeah.
But yeah, it was the first bit of new music, obviously long before the new album came out, and set it up nicely. It was it's Napalm Death, but oh shit, it's catchy and it's good and it's groovy. Oh shit, this could be good. Hopefully the album will be good, and then obviously that led on to an amazing album. So there you go, it's my first one.
Cool. Number 19 then for me, The Midnight Horrors. We're in northern Colorado for this horror punk band. Debut 5-track EP, Guitars, Grease, and Shallow Graves. March 13th. I love this EP because I just think it's fucking fun. It's a combination of the raw punkness with the misfits of that kind of horror tongue-in-cheek silliness, with a bit of Wednesday 13 and rockabilly all thrown in, and are just short, catchy numbers. Songs like 21st Century Frankenstein and The Spider and stuff like that. Just good rockabilly horror punk. We need more. We don't have many of these bands around these days. We still, when we think of horror punk, we go, oh yeah, like the Misfits or Wednesday 13. And that's where it ends. So let's have some new ones.
There you go. Call out to bands.
Yeah, man.
So my next one on the list, number 19, is Schwarzmasse by Entitat. Bit of a traditional one. Came out on the 18th of September. It's nice and heavy. They're a new band, but they sound traditional. Well, they're new enough. But they have a traditional sound to them. Music's quite, I guess, respects the old, but I think I wrote but it doesn't sound like it was recorded in a Saucepan. When I say traditional, I mean like traditional black metal. I like it a lot. I think it satisfies a lot of some needs. It's it's got the typical deep sort of dark tones, gravelly vocals, blasting drums. Probably not going to change the world, but make it a bit more appealing a place to be in during its playtime.
No arguments there. My next one, number 18, comes from Duskwood. They're a 4-piece desert rock stoner band from Yeovil in the UK. We don't get many bands coming out of Yeovil.
Stoner hotspot.
This is actually the second part in a 3-part EP series called The Long Dark. It's got a running theme across all the EPs, which tells a story of a space cowboy who travels alone through space and time, observing and documenting large planets, life forms, and structures. Part 1, The Long Dark, came out in 2019, April 2019. Part 2, The Lost Tales, came out February 28, 2020. This particular EP follows the space cowboy observing the start of human civilization and stuff like that. I love the first EP, really like this one as well. Fuzzy sounds of desert, stoner rock blended with spacey sci-fi elements. Mixing those two together, you get a real trippy kind of experience that has that weathered and dusty feel that you like of stoner rock. Yeah.
Cool. Next one on my list is another one that's part of I guess a sequel to a previous one, and this is Terminal Aggressor 2 by Dragged Into Sunlight.
Oh, cool.
And this is my second out of 3 so far that only has 1 track on it. However, the one track is 29 minutes long.
Oh, there you go then. They're just taking the piss then, yeah.
It's the same on the first album. It was like 1 track that sort of thing. And I think I wrote it was more like an experience than just a song. It's like I don't know, being embedded in a movie. It's very, very heavy.
Mm.
It's interesting and it's all, but at times it's also difficult to listen to, because they will have points where they'll fade out into nothing but screeching feedback, and then it will suddenly come rushing back in out of nowhere,
Right.
and it's
So you can't see
chaotic.
the
And
splits, yeah.
yeah, you can kind of see the splits, but it does work as a whole thing. It's just like it's an experience. It's like you don't come out of it going, "Oh my god, that's the catchiest song I've ever listened to,"
Mm.
but you kind of come out of it going like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But like in a way where you're like, "Oh, I gotta listen to that again."
And they've
Yeah,
done their job. If you're walking away with any kind of feeling, then
yeah.
they've done their job. Talking about walking away with feelings, we're off to the sunny uplands of Scotland for my next choice, my number 17, and it is Titanbreed. The Glaswegians released Legacy, their EP this year. It's a heavy groove EP, exciting blend of chunkiness, snarling heaviness, melodic energy. Is just a nice head banger that's catchy at times, brutal at others, melodic elsewhere. Yeah, it just does all of it really, really well. A strong future band in the groove metal scene.
Cool. And well, it's not really a cheat, I guess, but I've got a live EP next for me. And again, like we said in the albums, I'm not sure a live album would have made it in if it wasn't for the fact that I've been so starved of live music this year.
Mm.
And I think that's why this live EP was really, really welcome. And that is Fuzz and Feedback by Goat Monsoon. And this one, I guess, as well, because it had the ability to kind of transport me back to being in the exact spot where we were when we watched them perform this set, to then be able to listen to it in a year where I've been so starved of live music, and be able to kind of, I don't know, place yourself back there and enjoy that. So it was a very, very welcome release.
Yeah, I really like that live EP as well, because I didn't get to see them because I had to put the shit back in the car after interviews, and you went off to catch them and so on. So for me, this was like, oh, at least I get to hear what the live Bloodstock shit was like, beyond the videos. Yeah, we love Goat Monsoon. Massive shout out to them. Sticking in England, but this time we're going to Birmingham, the home of metal for Void Lurker's Industrial Nightmare. Sludge Doom 3-piece, and this is very much that. There's a ton of fuzz sticking to the guitars. We get that soft underbelly of doom, filthy sludge side as well coming out here and there. It's disgustingly slow-paced at times, but that's exactly what you want sometimes from that kind of doom side of things. And this pretty much sticks to that. Very festering at times, rotting corpse smell coming from this doomy sludge as well. What's bubbling up from that swamp? Yeah.
Yep. Cool. So my next one, supergroup time, and this is the band Scour, led by none other than the heavily talked about Philip H. Anselmo.
Yeah, of course. Scour, of course, it's that. Yeah.
Yeah, the EP, which was called Black, which came out only at the end of November, so not too long ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Very, very heavy, an extreme metal release. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's really, really good. It's got some interesting little ideas, like Jason Momoa being on the album. But it's fine. It doesn't really detract from it or anything like that. It's just
does it? Yeah.
Nice, heavy, vicious blast of metal.
Absolutely, it is very much that. Yeah. Now you've reminded me. Completely different from my 15th one, and it's Becoming the Lion. Their fourth EP, Unearthly Creature, released on December 4th, 2020. This is a fascinating one because it's it could almost be album length. It's 6 tracks long, quite a lot of detail in it as well. Post-metal band as well. So the tracks are quite detailed and in depth in that. Wonderful melodies layered over chugging riffing, powerful percussion, lots of ethereal and composed vocals. It's very deep and detailed. Exemplary stuff that kind of, like I said, gets in the soul, makes you think a little bit more, makes you feel sad but relaxed at times. There's a lot of mellow sounds, colorful stuff going on here. Yeah.
Yep. What number was that for you?
15.
All right, cool. That's right. I thought I'd lost my place, but I haven't. So my next one on the list then and this isn't really a cheat, but I guess you could argue it is. And it is the band that are a doom band, but I don't claim to be a doom band because I like them too much, and that is
Well,
Chemist with
oh,
their
no,
EP Doomed Heavy Metal.
it's in the fucking title.
What,
Doomed heavy
doomed?
metal. Yeah.
No, they just meant like heavy metal was doomed. That was all. And I guess the cheap part of it, what I meant is that it's not technically anything new. It is some reworked songs from older
Okay.
times and a couple of covers. But for me, it was brand new because I wasn't massively familiar with any of the older time songs. So it was 3 new Chemist songs for me.
And it was released this year, right?
Yeah, it was released
There you
this
go.
year, 17th of April via Nuclear Blast. 3 like reimagined, or sorry, not reimagined, re-release songs,
Yeah.
and 2. I think I had two live songs on it. I think they were actually. And you know, the 2 live songs weirdly are probably the ones I love to listen to the most on it because they're such an amazing band, and they recreate themselves perfectly in the live environment. They're a band I really can't wait to see live, which would have also been in 2020, but hey, there you go. But yeah, there you go, that's my one.
All right, my next one, number 14, is a split. It's actually a split EP from the bands Depleted and A Vintage Death. Both work from the Death and Doom underground. Depleted more on the side of funeral doom with a bit of the aggressive death here and there, very harsh noise. A Vintage Death takes the more sorrowful approach where it's more abrasive black metal than anything else. The 2 combined, often I find in split EPs, one band stands out more than the other, but very much in this EP here, these 2 work very, very well together. Even though they've got different styles of doom and death, they play off each other really nicely because they're close enough to what they both sound like.
Yeah.
Sound like a complete thing without being like a complete, whoa, what just happened there? You know? But yeah, it's a great EP and a great showcase for both bands.
Cool. 14 on my list then is the EP Winter Contemplations by Soul Dissolution.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good. This only came out in November, so still quite fresh in my mind. Was released via Viridian Flame Records.
Yeah.
It's quite it's one of those ones, you know, the nice kind of introspective, thought-provoking, progressive,
post
ambient, you know, pretty much anything you can think of, pretty much kind of mixes it in. But it's really cool to listen to, man. It's like it's got the a kind of black metal tinge to it, but without, you know, it's definitely not traditional in that sense whatsoever. But yeah, really, really good. Really enjoy it.
Cool. 13, and lucky number 13 in the EP side is one of 2020's most prolific bands, surprisingly, because not only did they release one of the best albums of the year, they've also released one of the best EPs. It is My Dying Bride, who, like I said, weren't content with releasing The Ghost of Orion earlier on, but then followed it up in November 20th with Macabre Cabaret, a 3-track EP, which, like I said, at the moment, this band is on a creative high point. And well, this is predominantly based around that one track, the title track, a 10-minute meandering through the gothic doomy works the band often inhabits. Elsewhere, there's some imaginative stuff here as well, without stretching the abilities of My Dying Bride or what you expect from My Dying Bride. There's probably a strong argument, aside from Macabre Cabaret, that the other tracks are maybe cut from the original album. I don't know if that's true, but that's the impression I get. But either way, it's like, well, wicked. Thank you for releasing them in an EP because it's fucking great. You know, it reminds me of Soilwork last year when they released the extra tracks from Vertigo and put them out, and they were bangers. So this is the same thing with My Dying Bride.
Awesome. So I'm back in the UK then for my next one, number 13, Norwich, and this is the band Bastard.
Ah, cool.
I'm gonna say it like Sean Bean.
Bastard.
Bastard. The worst is yet to come. Metal/hardcore band. You know, again, another new blood stage band. Really, really good. Plenty of energy, lots of fun, lots of heaviness. I just find it an enjoyable EP. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Number 12 for me, Held in Secret is the band. A sophomore EP was Nomads, May 29th, 2020. Metalcore with a technical edge. and a fair bit of melody as well. So it's kind of like the more modern side of metalcore. You know what it is, where you get a lot more frantic guitar riffing, sharper hooks and stuff like that. There's a lot of power in this. There's a lot of energy. It's frantic. It's fast. It's just a hell of an enjoyably fucking meaty metalcore EP from a fairly new band as well.
There you go. See, we are open-minded.
Absolutely.
So my next one is a split. And this is an EP called Time Without End. And the two bands involved were Sylvain and Unrequited.
Okay.
It's spelled slightly differently. It's spelled Unrequited. So it's quite awkward to say.
Yeah.
Didn't know anything about these guys beforehand, but Sylvain are billed as dreamy rockers and Unrequited are billed as black gaze. So the two kind of work, anyway. And similar to what you said about your split, it works really, really well because there's so many similarities between the band. I definitely found myself leaning more towards Unrequited, the kind of black metal gaze side of things.
True.
But it works really, really well. It came out on the 10th of January, so we're getting really, really far back now.
Wow, yeah. Fucking hell.
But it's really fucking amazing. It's very experimental. It's very progressive. It is exactly that word. It's dreamy, that sort of floating on a cloud through space sort of music. Lots of different elements going on, but mixing in, pulling in the heavy when they need to as well. So it's very, very good music. Cool.
All right, number 11, before we get to the top 10, something more chill, more radio friendly. It is Volume 1 by Deli, from the alternative rock Southampton-based band, released Friday, 24th of April, 2020. And what we have here is just lots of energy, plenty of melodious moments, perfectly weighted towards a more mainstream crowd, but just very optimistic, memorable rhythm and riffs and catchy music. It's the perfect blend of that kind of sneering heaviness of the harder side of rock, but also very much like, oh, this could be played on Radio 1 and pulling fans that way.
Cool. My number 11 is by Zealand.
Oh.
And it's the EP Wake of a Nation, which came out on the 23rd of October. And obviously, we're both fans of Zealand.
Indeed.
I think they're an exceptional band. Without getting too heavy and deep, it was very much rooted in what Zealand do, which is address times of oppression. But for the first time in any of their releases, this was based on the year 2020. Or not just the year 2020, but modern times.
Events that have occurred.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's, as you can imagine, especially with Manuel Gagno's voice, they do an exceptional job of highlighting a challenging, I don't know the right term for it without getting too deep or anything like that, time. And they put it across with all of their perfect mix of their bluesy, I don't really know what the term for it is, but their kind of bluesy side, and then their release of anger, as the black metal side comes into it. So it was a very poignant, but also very well put together EP.
Perfectly timed.
Yeah.
No arguments here. Number 10 then, my first of my top 10 is Empire Warning's Unite and Die, released way at the beginning of the year, 20th of February 2020. Empire Warning, a band that came our way in the last couple of years. They won London Metal to the Masters 2019, been on the up and up. And you can certainly tell that there's something more about this band that suggests they should and will make the step out of the underground to something larger in the future, depending upon how fucking the world turns out. And the strength of this EP is that, as a unit, they work so fucking well together, blending their rapid-fire riffs, substantial percussion, brush-style vocals, all of it combined for a heavy, head-banging, groovy metal EP. Yeah.
Cool. And my number 10 on the list, another UK band, and this is Fallen Earth by the band Groom Lake. Another metalcore EP as well. So there you go. Really, really impressed me with this. And I think I remember writing roughly that, you know, I often think metalcore has run its course, or at least for me, you know, that maybe I'm losing any love I have left for it.
Fair dues.
Or at least that we've seen the best of it, you know. But then a band like this comes along and injects the genre with quality that just shouldn't be ignored. I think it's highly recommended release, you know, for fans of bands like Yours, You Sleep, and all for that. But enough in it that, you know, you don't have to be a fan of any of that stuff. It's just damn good metal.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, good stuff.
Number 9, Lodestar by Priests of Prometheus. It's actually the work of one particular man. It's a solo project. And this is his debut EP. Death metal, simply put. Doesn't strictly adhere to the format, but it's a proper raw, intense clashing of instruments, blending perfectly with that familiar death metal speed and intensity, the stuff you expect, raw and bloodthirsty, but not without merit, because there's some expectations that will get turned around when you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna go here, it's gonna go there, and it's like, oh no, you didn't do that. And yeah, it's really stuck out for me. Yeah.
Cool. Another really, really early one of the year for me, which I think was January as well. And this is the EP, The Trial by Neurosis.
Okay.
But as in the Colombian thrash band.
That's right, yeah, not the other ones.
Yeah. This was a bit of a, I guess, one of those ones that surprised me a bit in how much I enjoyed it. You know, thinking, oh, I'm going to enjoy this, a bit of old school raw thrash. It'd probably be a nice solid 7, 8 out of 10. And then coming out of it just being like blown away. You know, it's just insanely listenable, man. It's got everything you want from that. I guess if somebody say, oh, it's a bit of like raw thrash, you know, it doesn't necessarily sound appealing.
Well, it does.
You know?
It really does. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess, it's one of those things though. It's like how you feeling today? Do you know what I mean? It's not, you know, but it's got everything, man. Screaming solos, filthy towns, growls, roars, blazing drums everywhere. You know, it's a really fantastic EP.
Cool. My number 8 is one you've already mentioned. It was Leonardo's Wake of a Nation. What you kind of already said is something I will echo. I won't go too much further into it. And to me, it's just very encapsulates an important period in time portrayed by a band, not just capable of doing it justice, but one that I feel has the right to be able to stand and speak about difficult subjects and put it into a music format and make people feel uncomfortable while still delivering shit that is a good song.
Yeah.
Shit that is a bit of music I want to listen to again and again. I don't know if you will be able to in quite the same way because of how relevant and how time capsule-y it is.
Yeah.
But for now, it's easily one of the ones that have stuck in my head for the impact of, oh, wow, you got angry and you made this. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, the reality of real life, unfortunately, is that it may stay relevant for a very long time.
There is that, yeah.
So my next on my list by a artist some people may have heard of before in the EP is called Telemark, and it's by Isan.
Who's that motherfucker?
Oh, the guy from Emperor. You know him.
Oh, all right.
He obviously released 2 EPs in 2020, but only one of them gets anywhere near my top list because the other one was not one I particularly enjoyed. Yeah, that's right. Telemark is brilliant though, absolutely superb. It's all the very best elements of Isan. There's a couple of covers at the back end of it, but that doesn't really matter because it's the 3 original songs at the front of it that this EP is structured around, and they are all phenomenal. You know, everything you can think of about what Isan brings to it. Remembering this was meant to be the first of his EPs, was a look back at his, I guess, his upbringing. You know, like how he got into all this sort of stuff. So it's definitely the rawer, more black one of the 2 EPs. But it has enough of his modern side to it to make it sound like he's not just trying to be Emperor. You know, he's not just trying to stick some Emperor songs out there. They are very much Isan songs with a touch of Emperor, but his personality all over it. It's a fantastic EP.
Very well put. My number 7 is one you've already touched upon as well, and it is Winter Contemplations by Soul Dissolution. I waited 2 fucking years for Soul Dissolution to bring me new music. Been a fan of this band for many, many years, all the way back to Stardust. It's certainly part of my developing love for the post-atmospheric black metal stuff that dominates my life now. And so when I saw the new EP, it was very exciting. Winter Contemplations, loved the cover. I was like, oh, Winter Contemplations, we're going to have something that's really frosty and cold and all that. And it does deliver on that. But it's also, as always, gloomy and meditative. It's beautifully chilling. It's haunting and deeply moving. The only issue is it's 2 tracks long.
Yeah.
And I wanted more. But what it does do is it just delivers that fragility in the most thought-provoking of ways. I love this band and I love this EP.
And I thought it was going to be a Christmas EP when I first downloaded it.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So number 7 on my list is the EP2, a very imaginative title there.
Yeah.
But it is their second EP, and it is by Chaos Over Cosmos. It's hard to know whether to classify them as a band or not, because they are essentially one guy in one part of the world and another guy in another part of the world doing vocals. And the guy in the other part of the world has changed even there between EP1 and EP2. But what it is exceptionally good music. There's a sci-fi kind of edge to it. It's very guitar driven. The vocals are lovely. It's quite layered, it's expansive, it's progressive music. It kind of a little bit feels a bit like, I guess if I was going to compare it to something, it's like the Ocean Collective in terms of how the music is, which isn't a bad comparison to have at all.
No.
But it's just very enjoyable to listen to. It's really good metal.
Number 6 for me, Aborted, Le Grande Masquerade. Of course, the Belgian death metalers, they are legends in their own right. We should know Aborted are, and this EP came out on the 17th of April 2020. I kind of feel like Aborted are on a bit of a high point at the moment, coming off the back of the latest albums, all about the TerrorVision as well. And this EP has 2 tracks new, one from TerrorVision.
Yeah, that's right. An unreleased, Cutting Floor one.
Yeah, and that's still a banger as well. But this is everything you want from Aborted. It's just in your face fury. There's nothing really, there's nothing elaborate, there's nothing clever, there's no surprises. It's just what Aborted do, Aborted doing at their best.
Yeah, agreed. So 6 on my list, which is one that you had just a few tracks, EPs back, is Unite and Die by Empire Warning. I agree with everything that you said. I think it's a corker of an EP. I think they're a great band, very exciting band. I like how they kind of mix between, when they want to be heavy, they turn it on and they're fucking heavy. They really, really crush with the riffs and everything like that. But they have the ability to chuck in a really cool chorus, that sticks in your head, or, just to tone it down enough that it's not extreme. Do you know what I mean? They've got a really good balance. They're very listenable band.
Absolutely. 5, Swamp Thief. And
it's going to be sludge.
You're shocking, right? Swamp Thief and EP Swamp Thief I, as an I for the Roman numeral 1. They're a 2-piece heavy rock band from Swansea in South Wales, who mix in a blend of sludgy down-tuned riffs.
There we go. Those famous Swansea swamps.
I mean, it's an EP that's got a ton of rumble and fuzz, the kind of shit that makes your fillings ache. It's a nice announcement on the UK scene. An EP that's dripping in swampy, sludgy goodness while having a great rocking tone and rhythm to it. Lots of rumbling bass over greasy riffs. Variant vocals. I love the vocals on this EP in particular. The lead is very clean and clear, but helped along by a distant, gruffer one that sounds a little further away. Love that combination. Really impressed by these guys.
And my next one on the list, again, another one that you had not too long ago, is a UK Manchester-based band, SAR, with the EP Twisted. I very, very much liked this EP when I probably would have expected myself to think it was okay beforehand, because it's not necessarily my area of operation. But I really loved it. I think they're such a talented band. I love the effort that goes into a song. It feels like something that's almost been, we spend a week over note 1 and then another week on note 2, and it has to be perfect. And I'm sure it's not like that. It's probably much more natural, but it just sounds like, God, that must take so much effort, because it's very layered and it's very thought-provoking, and it's really cool, really, really cool music. Emotionally challenging, I wrote.
Emotionally challenging. Good words. Number 4 for me, A Cold Embrace from Life by Rise to the Sky. And as we said in the album list, stop doing your top lists at the end of November, beginning of December, because if you do that, you will continue to miss out on stuff that comes out in December. And to hammer that point home, This EP was released on December 18th. As of the time recording 5 days ago. Now, admittedly, I've been listening to it a bit longer because I had it through his promotional content. So I had it a couple of weeks beforehand. But either way, 5 days, you know? And it's my number 4 EP of the year. It's all the work, solo project of a Chilean musician, Sergio G. And it's epic Sub-Zero Doom. Crushing. But not just because of the heavy doom aspect. No, because it is littered with profound and poignant melodies that add so much emotional value to each of the 4 tracks. There isn't a moment on this EP that doesn't leave a mark in some way or another. It's wonderful.
Wonderful. So I think all of my top 4 are pre-August.
Okay.
So you're all right with mine. But the 4, and I would, and I know we do this a lot, but they are probably all relatively interchangeable, to be honest with you. Number 4 on the list is the debut EP by the Italian metalers Thea, and the EP is called Kalahari. Hang on. Yeah, I've got that round. I don't even know if I've got around the right way now. Are they called? I think they're called Kalahari, and the EP is called Thea. Sorry. Yeah. This was a real fucking surprise for me this year, and I don't know why I still get surprised by this shit. It's like, oh, it's a debut release, and then it's that good. I'm surprised. Yeah. Why am I surprised? I say that on every fucking EP now. But you listen to it, and like it comes across like the release from a band with like 20 years professional studio experience under their belt, not a debut at all. It's got everything you want from the heavier side of metal. It mixes, I guess, between death, a little bit of core in there. And maybe just some strand of straight up heavy metal as well. It's got great vocals, really, really harsh vocals, but they do a lot of like mixes of tones and depth. So it doesn't sound like this one repetitive vocal stream coming at you. It's got backing coming in over it all over the place. It's very heavy. It's got a lot of grooves. It's got great traditional sounding solos, immense drumming. It just combined really, really well. And yeah, I wrote down at the point of doing the review, it's like, shit, this is a real band to watch out for in the future if this is their debut.
Yeah, we've said it many times already. The bar is being constantly reset with debut EPs or albums, and there's another good example.
Yep.
Number 3, then, my 3rd favorite EP of the year comes from Grimgotz, the London symphonic power metal band, and it is Legends, released December 11th, 2020. It's actually the 3rd in a trilogy of EPs. The previous 2 were called Tales and Sagas, so Tales, Sagas, and Legends. To me, this is the best of the bunch. It's a classy and fun. This is what makes this one stand out, I think, in the whole list, is I use the word fun. How often do we use the word fun when we're talking about music? It's just energetic, super, super upbeat, fun, power metal, symphonic metal.
Cool. And my next one on the list, number 3, is the EP of Sunless Realms by the band Inferi. And even just saying the name now, I can hear every fucking song. I remember how blown away I was by them. Nashville-based band, another melodic death metal band. Surprise, surprise. But it is a perfect blend. It's nicely blended between the melody and the death. It's quite classic, as in classic mellow death. I guess you're at the gate sort of style, being the classic bar as such. But it's got a lot more to it. It's got some progressive ideas, some really intelligent structural ideas in songs where they like I think you mentioned on your top albums where you kind of think you're in the flow of it, and then it switches and you're like, oh shit, what's happening here? Oh, I love it.
Readjust yourself.
Yeah, and then you readjust and then it fucks off back that way again. And you're like, oh shit.
Chasing that chicken, isn't it?
Yeah, chasing that chicken around, mate. But yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. Wonderful example of modern melodic death metal.
Cool. My number 2 is one you've already mentioned. It is 2, Chaos of the Cosmos. Sci-fi progressive metal. It was released May 1st. It's the best work they produced, and we've covered them in the past as well. For me, it got the hair standing up my body. It's got serious progressive metal, heavyweight sound to it. Complex guitars and layered, backed up by strong percussion and powerful vocals that wouldn't be out of place on a death metal record. This is one I've been listening to over and over again.
Awesome. Number 2 on my list, and this is not fun. So you can tell by the title already when I say it that you're like, okay, this isn't bouncy music. And the EP is called "Oh God, I've Never Felt This Low," and this is by Achilles,
Of course.
Scottish hardcore / metalcore band. And yes, they put the word post in there as well.
Of course.
But I dropped it. This blew me away because I didn't. This is another one where I was like, oh, I think I needed some new music at the time. I was like, I need to listen to something new, and this was just come out, and I was like, oh, I'll give it a crack. I don't reckon it's going to be my cup of tea whatsoever. And I remember getting to the end of it and being like on the verge of tears. Like, do you know what I mean? I was, and like literally, I went into it feeling good, and listening to "Oh God, I've Never Felt This Low" made me come out never having felt that low. You know, and it is so intense and raw and emotional, and it feels like the band have just like unloaded. Do you know what I mean? Like they had some stuff to get out, and they got it out, and they put it on record, and they haven't tried to gloss it up. And there's like one song in particular on it, which is called "Beautiful Morning," which deals, as in MOURN, and deals with the loss of the mother at the young age. And you know, you're listening to this song at the end of this EP where you're already feeling quite emotional because it's such a weighty, low tone, fuzzy EP.
Yeah.
As the singer sounds like he's crying, screaming, "Bring her back to me," you know, while the riffs are just pummeling you, and you're just like, oh man. But as sad as it is, you can't help but go back to it over and over again. It is insanely good.
Love the way you describe that. I think that is a proper selling it. And my number one EP of 2020 came out on May 29th, 2020. And it's the self-titled EP from Diet Love. So Diet Love is the name of the EP. Now, what's very important about this is, for me, this highlighted something that lots of bands say. And they go, well, when you ask a band to describe their music, oh, we don't really want to be pigeonholed. We're a combination of this and this, whatever. And then you listen to them and go, nah, mate, you're thrash metal. You can, you know, all right, all right, cool. You threw in some death metal vocals there, but let's be honest, guy, you're this, you know, and stuff like that. Every band wants to not be pigeonholed, but few can actively portray that, where I'm like, I can't. If someone said to me, what do they play? I'm like, the best I'm going to do is list off every single, not even a couple of genres, every genre is. And Diet Love are progressive rock, the post-hardcore, the melodramatic melodic, the doom, the heavy metal, and fucking everything else in between. This EP, for how short it is, has everything, and it flows. It couldn't be any other way when you hear it. You're like, the fuck are you doing this? It's like you would almost believe, oh, you were just inviting a different band each time. But it's not, because it sounds exactly like them. They're just changing their style up. To me, it's the most wide-ranging EP of the year, and it's one that I keep coming back to. Yeah.
Go them. My number one is a lot more boring, and you've already had it in your list. And I think this kind of sums up what my year has been, what with Vader being my number one album, and my number one EP is La Grande Masquerade, Aborted. So, you know, it's been a tough year for a lot of people, and it seems that I've gravitated towards aggressive release for a lot of my music. And what you said is exactly what I had for it, you know, 3 tracks, relatively short, but, you know, still 3 tracks. And it's quality over quantity for me, and it's just 3 insanely heavy, no punches pulled, aborted songs. You know, them at their best, doing what they do, which is just the hellish vocals, pummeling drums, the shit that, you know, it deserves a pit. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like you feel guilty listening to it because you're like, I shouldn't listen to this on my own.
Yeah.
I should be hitting someone right now.
Yeah.
That's what this song deserves.
Sitting in the car listening to it, it's like, this isn't right.
Yeah. But you see, I mean, you said it already, like, you know, the band, this is a band on form, like not just now, but like over the last 5-6 years. It's a band that are really, really top of their game at the moment. Aborted. Yeah,
can't argue with it. There you go. There's our top 20 EPs of 2020. Of course, let us know some of yours in those comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?